introductions. I'm Emma Hollihan. I'm the Digital Marketing Director at Paul Davis Restoration. We also have our Blue Corona team, who is quick introductions.
Guys, my name is David Hammer. I'm Vice President of Client Accounts at Blue Corona. Who are you?
I am Brandon Doyle. I'm our Senior Director of Marketing at Blue Corona. So thanks for having us, Emma.
Yeah. So I'm obviously a little partial. I do think you guys did slip into the most exciting session of conference, but again, this is what I've been working on, so I'm a little partial. But you guys get to see the brand new Paul Davis Restoration websites. This is our official unveiling of the websites, the new design, the new functionality. So we're really, really excited about it, and this is going to be your first opportunity to see it. So I'm really excited. But before we kind of unveil, there's a few things we want to talk about first. Obviously, during this session, we have our purpose and outcome. We want to introduce the network to our newest digital marketing partner vendor, Blue Corona, and of course, unveil the brand new website. And we want to talk about next steps with Blue Corona. We'll talk about the timeline to the new website, when you guys will be receiving that new website, your next steps with Blue Corona if you're interested in one of their programs. And we'll talk, like I said, a little bit more about when to expect and what the milestones are for the website rollout. Cool, so again, we're going to talk about how did we kind of get to deciding on a new website. I know some of you guys are like, this is long overdue. We are so excited for a new website. And some of you are like, oh, we're getting a new website. So we're going to answer some questions there and just talk about how did we even land there. Then we're going to introduce Blue Corona. We're going to talk a little bit about who Blue Corona is and their background, and then unveil the new website and talk about timeline and questions. So how did we get to a new vendor? So I'm sure many of you guys have had interactions with our current digital marketing vendor, Online Image. Like, raise of hands, who's heard of Online Image? Okay, good, perfect. The majority of the people. So, there was some frustrations with the current vendor. We experienced it on a corporate level. We know our franchisees were experiencing it on a local level. We knew it was time to move. But moving 300 websites is kind of like trying to turn the Titanic from an iceberg, right? Like, it's a behemoth to move. And what was really, really important for us is that we didn't want to just go and give our franchisees, here's brand new websites with no local content, and anything you guys have put on your sites over the years is all gone. What was important to us is that we found a vendor that had experience with franchising, that had experience with home services, and that understood what it was going to take for us to move while still maintaining your SEO, while still maintaining all the great content that you guys have invested on your site, because we know it's been an investment on your website to put the current content on there. So we obviously had some new marketing collateral. We have some great new photo shoots that we've done over the last year that we wanted all over the photos, all over the websites. And we also had an outdated back-end WordPress functionality. I already know by looking at some of you guys who has tried to make updates on your website. I know this table certainly has over here. And it was tough, right? It's very clunky. It is WordPress, but the theme was very clunky to use. It was very hard to use, and it was outdated. So we know we needed updated functionality. Still working with WordPress, but we needed a better theme. And we also needed a better front end. So we've had this current design for 5 years. That's typically what you want to see. Like, you don't want to really go over 5 years for a design like this. We knew it was time. And then obviously we had our current frustrations with the vendor. So that's how we identified it's time for a new vendor. And how are we going to do this? So we were looking for, like I said, a company that had proven experience with home services, proven experience with franchise brands, because it is one thing to kind of have someone come in to say, oh, I know SEO and pay-per-click, and it's another thing for someone to come in and say, hey, I know SEO and pay-per-click across the USA, into Canada, and understood the differences in marketing for corporate versus marketing on a local level, and all the little things that come into that. So we needed someone that could build an enterprise-level content management system. We also, something that's really important that you guys might not realize, but very important for us, we needed someone that understood the importance of GDPR, CCPA, and ADA compliancy. So one of the things that we have to worry about, so that way you guys don't have to worry about, is that all of our sites are ADA compliant, GDPR compliant, and CCPA compliant. She's not here, but Shelly just gave me, Shelly from Northeast Indiana, she gave me such a good email last week that said, there's new laws coming into my state around data privacy. And I was like, oh my God, a franchisee knows about data privacy. This is fantastic. And one of those things is we don't want you guys to have to worry about that because we take care of that on the corporate end to make sure that we are compliant across all the states with all the new laws. And also we wanted to team up with a vendor that understood the importance of that too. So when we were looking for a new vendor, we knew we had to bring in franchisees into the process. We wanted this to be a collaborative process. So we first started off with I was just doing vendor searches, looking for vendors, going to IFA, going to different franchise associations to look who was using who, ultimately. We did some preliminary calls just to see, if they had the experience that we needed, if they understood franchising, if they understood home services. And then we did an RFP process. And with that RFP process, we had 12 vendors that we had narrowed it down to. So it was still a pretty large pool of vendors. And then from there, we brought in the franchisees. So Jason Kitchen, who's not here today, but if you see him around, give him a pat on the back. We also had a digital marketing vendor approval committee too that helped with this process too. But they were absolutely extremely helpful in this process to make sure that they could drill down into what the franchisees needed and make sure that Blue Corona ultimately could help them get to what they wanted. We had technical meetings too. We had referral calls. We did call any other companies that they were working with to make sure they had great experiences. So that was part of it as well. And then we ended with a digital working group call. So with all of that, we decided on Blue Corona. So with that, I'm going to turn over to
There we go.
Brandon over here.
Yeah, give it up.
There you go.
Awesome, thank you. Can everyone hear me okay? I talk loud and fast. Thank you very much. I can take that too. All right, everyone can hear me all right? Not too loud? Perfect. All right. Well, thank you, Emma, and thank you, Paul Davis. We're super excited to be here. I know we were talking beforehand, before our session today. The past 24 hours, this is our first, as Emma said, we are a new vendor to you. This is our first show, and it has been so welcoming, and you all have been a big part of that. So thank you very much. As Emma mentioned, we are Blue Corona. Again, my name is Brandon Doyle. I'm our Senior Director of Marketing. Joined here by David Hamrick, our VP of Client Accounts. We have Jill Singhouse over there. She's our Senior Account Executive. And where are the other two? Carrie's in the back, and we got Andrew over here. Carrie, Andrew, and Jill, if you decide to partner with Blue Corona, are going to be running that partnership from a day-to-day. So incredibly talented marketers in the room. So again, appreciate you taking the time out of your day. And over the next 10-ish minutes or so, I'm going to tell you a little bit about Blue Corona, and then I'm going to pass it over to David for the big website unveiling, which I know you all are super excited about. So we were founded in 2008 as a tracking and analytics company. We actually didn't do any marketing when we first started. We were simply consulting with clients. Our founder was working for a bottled water company, running their sales department, and he had no idea what their marketing investments were producing. Was it actually generating revenue from them? So he started tracking in super granular detail on his own. And over time, as the internet grew in popularity and digital marketing became more of a thing, and now it is the thing, we morphed into a full service agency, providing measurable marketing and sales solutions. We are committed, and everything we do comes from the perspective of a business owner. We like to say we are a vendor, but we are a true business partner of yours. We like to ingrain ourselves and understand your operations, understand your local markets in order to drive your business forward. We are exclusively home service focused with over 500 brands in our portfolio. Those range from independently owned, mom and pop type, family owned and operated HVAC contractors to multi-location organizations like Paul Davis, franchisees, aggregators, ranging from about $3 million in revenue all the way up to publicly traded companies. We're a Google Premier Partner. That's a distinction reserved for the top 2% of marketing agencies who partner with Google. Long way of saying we've passed a lot of tests and we generate some good results for our clients. We're also an award-winning Yelp advertising agency and a Microsoft Advertising Select partner as well. Really what we do at the end of the day are these three things for our clients. Who in this room wants more calls? Who wants more leads? Everyone's hand is up, as I expected. And who wants those calls to be cheaper than you're generating them today? Not surprising either, right? And who in this room, if you go and look up other local restoration contractors, who wants to differentiate their brand, right? You have to differentiate that brand from the other, see a couple hand raises, from the other restoration companies online, because to a homeowner who might not know who Paul Davis is and that you're the leader in North America, you're the same as Joe Schmo's Restoration down the street, right? And so you have to convince them why you are the best, build that trust with that user. So we help our clients increase calls, right? Get more leads and do it for cheaper, and optimize their marketing costs so that we stretch their marketing budget further. That's our whole goal. Make you stand out, get you calls, and do it for as cheaply as possible. We have a full suite of digital marketing solutions. Again, David's going to talk through the website, and these are just some of our services up there. But every new client partner of ours, we start with a foundational website that's conversion focused, SEO, optimized for SEO. And before we do any marketing, we take our tracking and analytics net and wrap it around all of their digital campaigns. Then we get to work. And that's where our paid media management comes in, our SEO, brand differentiation strategies like email marketing and OTT, Google local services ads, and all the way through the bottom of the funnel in sales support. You know, one of the things that we've found over our 16 years in business and being so data-driven is that contractors miss a ton of phone calls. And that's like throwing your marketing dollars in the trash, because you paid to generate those calls in one way or another, whether it was pay-per-click, you're paying your agency for SEO, and it was an organic call, you're throwing money away. So overflow call support, after hours, appointment booking, a full end-to-end solution. And the reason we offer that full end-to-end solution is because the buyer's journey is so complex. So I want to take us, do a little exercise here, try to take yourselves and put yourselves in the mind of you as a homeowner and not here at Paul Davis Elite Conference 2024, right? And when something goes wrong in your house, what do? Anyone? Just yell it out. Let's say your air conditioner breaks. What do? Call a professional. So you probably, before you call the professional, take out your phone and Google, right? You turn to the internet, right? And so real situation happened a couple years ago. My sister bought a townhome. Laundry room was on the 3rd floor. She started a load of laundry, came back to a flooded washroom, right? Tons of water damage, pretty new townhome. She was pissed, right? She was aware that she now has a problem. Pretty easily becoming aware of that, right? And so she pulled out her phone and went to Google and started looking for restoration contractors to help her. And she came across a lot of things like this, most likely, right? You start to see local services ads if you Google fire, smoke damage, restoration contractor near me, right? You'll see Google Business Profile, Microsoft ads if you're a Bing user, right? You might interact with some marketing channels in your email or paid ads, right? And the whole goal as a marketer and our job is to connect you with those buyers along every step of the funnel. Ultimately, to either drive calls or drive traffic to your website, which then results in hopefully a call. And there's hundreds of touch points along the way, right? Because we might whip out our phone, we might Google it, and we might call someone and my interaction is done. But that's a pretty straightforward process, right? I might also ask friends or family, right, who they use for something. I might look on social media, and then I might put my phone down and I might come back, you know, restoration a little different, but I might come back later and then call someone again or start my search over. And there's hundreds of things that happen there, and all of that lives, all of that activity, all of that data. Bob was talking this morning about how valuable data is and how Paul Davis has a gold mine of data. All of that lives at the marketing agency level. And you have to go and say, hey, marketing agency, where's my data? Like, can you show it to me? Or excuse me here, I've lost my train of thought. You have to go to your marketing agency and have them give you that data. And oftentimes, that data sometimes might not match up with what you see in your CRM, and you're left asking questions, right? Like, is this really working? Is it not? Or you're questioning the data. But again, all that lives at the marketing agency. And when someone calls in and you collect their information, you're gonna run a job. That call is now in your, or that lead is now in your CRM. You run the job, and then hopefully that person becomes a loyal customer. They enter the post-purchase experience phase. Maybe they leave you a review, and then they start receiving your monthly emails. If you're investing in email marketing, they get your display, your social media ads, right? And now you've got that customer hooked. I mentioned that tracking and attribution is in our DNA, and that we are rooted in data. And here's a little inside look at how we do that. So at Blue Corona, I mentioned our founder tracking like his marketing investments at the bottled water company. We track and record all of our clients' phone calls, and we read and review every single web form and chat that comes in. That is a lot of valuable data for you. We listen to those calls, and then what we do is we tag and verify those calls. We'd also do this for our web forms and chats as well to basically say, what type of lead was this? We listen for cues and things like new customer leads closed. Maybe it's an existing customer. Maybe it was a missed call, out of service area. Maybe they were following up about an appointment that they have in a couple days and we're just calling you back because they needed something, right? But we tag and verify those leads based on the customer's experience and the outcome of that call.
So what this looks like for you guys is, just a quick show of hands, is there anyone that can go and say, I know how many agents, how many adjusters, or how many customers called in a month to my Google business line? Just looked at your phone number on your Google business page and said, this is how many agents or adjusters came. Okay, what about your website? Is anyone tracking that? So what this would allow you to do is you guys with Blue Corona could go in and see exactly who's even calling into your website. And what this, again, looks like for us is, what if your website, is 90% adjusters? So what if they're just going in there to get your information? Maybe that signals to your group something, oh, we haven't given a better communication line to our adjusters or our agents. Also, maybe it's a lot of returning customers or customers that are currently on a project. Maybe they don't have a line to their project coordinators that they should. So a lot of this information can tell you a ton about how your current customers are doing and how you're getting new customers. Obviously, we want to see, it's going to be a little bit of a mix for everybody, but it would be great, right, if you're pouring in marketing dollars and the majority of the calls that you're seeing are new customers that are coming in and finding you. But again, if you are seeing those agents and adjusters, that signals to you guys, oh, we might need to go and modify some things to make sure that they have a number themselves.
That's a good point, Emma, thank you. And it also signals that, hey, maybe your marketing agency should get you some better leads. So when we're able to take that information and we can track it all the way through to revenue, right? And we can attribute and say, Brandon Doyle from Charlotte, North Carolina, and hired Paul Davis Charlotte, and he searched restoration contractor near me, landed on this page, and called me from page B, per se, all the way through to revenue, and we can back that up throughout the entire funnel. All of that is surfaced inside our real-time reporting dashboard with over 300 metrics. You can personalize the dashboards, customize them to your liking, channel level details, so across Google, dig into your SEO, your local SEO, whatever it is you're advertising on, because we wrap that tracking net around and it all funnels into this. Is anyone here from corporate? We have any corporate folks here or maybe own multiple locations? Yeah. Polaris, you can actually do real-time data roll-ups, so you can look across your locations and say, how is my Google Ads campaigns performing across all my locations? Maybe you can go higher in the data, or maybe you want to dive in a little deeper into a single location. All of that is possible, giving you the visibility in real time to say, here's what's working and here's what's not. And this is a platform that we're super excited about and that our team is loving so far. And with that, I'm going to kick it over to David, and I'm going to be sitting up there driving some slides. So David, you tell me if you need me to move it.
Perfect. Thanks, Brandon. You guys hear me in the back okay? Gary, thumbs up. Perfect. Gary can hear. We're thrilled to be here. I know Brandon said that. We can't stress it enough, but our first conference, it's a lot more high energy, a lot more unique than a lot of the shows we go to. I think it's the first one I've ever packed a Panthers jersey for, so I'm a big fan of that. And again, my name is David Hamrick. I'm our Vice President of Client Accounts. I promised to you guys who are in a third session of the day, if you went to some yesterday, I only have one slide before we're actually going to go through and talk about some things for the website. So just bear with us through this one. I guess technically 2, but I hand it back to Brandon on that one, so 1.5 is the under. When Blue Corona approaches any website build, we have the same exact goal in mind every time. We want to effectively convert users into leads with a distinct brand experience. And we put the conversion part first for a reason. There's a lot of people out there that could build a really beautiful Paul Davis website, but your website has to serve as your most effective sales rep online. It has to be a platform to bring people to the site through organic search and what it signals to Google. And it has to be a funnel for that user. Once they get there, what do? How do we get them to fill out a form? How do we get them to call us? We launch more than 100 need-based service sites a year. We've launched 4 this week. We launched one this morning. I had to text somebody to make sure I could say that. But we take all of that data, all of our recurring customers, and we use it to inform and improve our best design practices. Where do you put a phone number on a site? What color should it be? We take all of that in and we put it into our designs. That's why we love hearing data-driven decisions this morning. That's everything we do. We want to be objective. We're not going to show you a website in a minute and just pause and say, hey, do you think it looks great? We're going to talk to you about the decisions we made of what goes where and what do we believe it's going to cause the user to do. Not only at launch, but in the future, right? Once the site launches, that's really just the beginning. How are users behaving 3 months in, 6 months in? Maybe a word needs to be changed. Maybe a button needs to be changed. We want to walk you through how we think and how we're applying that to both the corporate website design experience as well as the individual location flexibility. We also want to remember both audiences that we're optimizing for. We're designing a website for the user, but one of the biggest visitors to the site is always going to be Google. We need an effective technical backend that's going to be the platform for both corporate and franchise level SEO. What does Google understand about the back end of our website? How is it technically organized? And how can we outrank our competition? Finally, as Emma said, we want to make sure that we're being mindful and compliant of laws at the state, federal, and international level. We want to be mindful of privacy laws in North America, in the United States, in Canada, and we work very closely with the Paul Davis team on that. So if you guys are tired of looking at a lot of PowerPoint slides in hotel conference rooms, we'll move over and actually look at the website for a couple minutes.
Bear with us.
I think.
We live? We still?
You might need to kill the presenter mode.
Yeah, that's what I think I got to do. Here we go. It's not in. You in full screen?
It would be a very long drum roll. Yeah.
David, you might need. I'm a Mac user. You might need to.
Maybe even just quit power. Maybe even just quit.
There we go.
It's the Chrome on the right. It's the guest window. There we go.
I'd say it was stuck because of the 2 screens.
Perfect.
We got there.
We got there. So again, when we talk about the website, we don't just want to put it up and say we think this is pretty or we like it for these reasons. We want to walk you through literally from the top down the decisions that we made, what we put where to show how we think, the amount of collaboration and thought that's gone into it, tons of conversations with Emma and her team about things that they might not even have interest about on a weekly basis. But every part of the site has been carefully considered. So right from the top, right, we were going to look at our navigation that's going to follow us. Brandon can scroll a bit, not just throughout the homepage, but throughout the entire site. We want to articulate what do we do, where are we, and how do you reach out to us? In that navigation, we were also careful to consider a few things from the Paul Davis team. We know commercial is a big focus in equal prominence to residential. And along with the insurance dropdown, we also want to make sure that we're giving prominence to careers. If we're going to hit that company growth that we're talking about this morning, you're going to lead a lot more teammates to get there, as well as a claims call out for agents and adjusters. But again, everything comes back to those red CTAs for the consumer. If you're in a need-based mindset, we can scroll back up a bit above the fold for a moment. Get help at the top. Find a restoration specialist. Get help immediately. If you're a need-based customer, the data shows you're really not even going to make it below the fold, below this part of the site most of the time. So we need to give you all the information we need. Who are we? What do we do? Reassure you that we're not a hair and beauty brand, as we heard this morning, and give you the avenues to quickly find your local location or reach out immediately. When we talk about being objective, about making data-driven decisions, we know things, for example, like we want that call to action to the right, the way the user's eye tracks. And as we move down this homepage, we never want to be on desktop more than a single mouse move away from an easy way to reach out. So that phone number is going to follow us down, and as we go, for a customer that's got a bit more time, who's a bit more discerning, we're going to start to build in those trust builders in a way that feels distinctly Paul Davis. And that's where the photography is really great. To me, that's what sets this site apart, is it puts the people first. Another big thing we spoke about this morning, great, beautiful images, branded clothing, branded reps, really just shows the experience top down. We've told you what we do. Now we're going to tell you why we're the best possible people to handle your problem. So we'll move. Yeah, which we had a little bit of an argument about. Red is a strong color. It stands out. It's hopefully one of the first things you noticed about the site. The CTA, the call to action, should be the most bold thing that stands out. At any point in time, we want the customer to see that phone number. And as Brandon will go down the page more, we'll look at some sub pages as well. We're always using that red as a place to anchor the customer. What should you do next? How should you reach out? That's also the basis. That's the conversion point that we're going to feed into Google Ads, that we're going to optimize our work based on. And it's going to use our call tracking to feed us that data to know who are our validated leads, not just people calling for a job, people calling to be your next digital marketing provider. We also know who's calling, what you paid to acquire them, and what the outcome was.
And when we worked with the UI and UX team at Blue Corona, one of the things, we had our own creative team work on this as well with us, and one of the things that they asked is, okay, well, we have some red in some of our stuff, but why the use of red on very deliberate parts of the website? And you'll see, so it's on the like the get help, on the phone number, and because red, what does red signify in our everyday life?
Danger.
Stop. I hear. Yep. Stop. So right, like automatically, like your eye is drawn to red as like a stopping. Here's the most going to be pertinent information, and because so much of our traffic, and we have taken the data that we already have, the years worth of data from Google Analytics, to show that our consumer really is going there to get the most pertinent information, because when their basement is filling up with water, they want to get someone to their house immediately. So any place where you see red, it's very deliberate as like a stopping. That's going to signify stopping. It's not like a fun little, well, we thought we'd add a little red here for some color. It's very deliberate, so it gives your eyes a place to stop and look.
Absolutely, and we'll move a bit further down the homepage. We'll show some more of that Paul Davis branded imagery, some of those trust builders, and then we'll show one or two more things at the corporate level before, again, talking about some of the specific features we built into the franchise sites as well. For us, this isn't a one website project, it's a 300 site project, and there's a lot that we want to make sure is considered. But before we move on from the homepage, the next thing we'll quickly take a look at is the mobile homepage. Most of our traffic is going to come from mobile. Google itself actually indexes our mobile site first. So they're making sure that we haven't just taken down that homepage and shrunk it, right? We don't want to pinch and zoom to see anything. We have to design, develop, and code a specific mobile experience that says the same things and has the same message. But again, on mobile, it's even easier to plan where we want those call to actions to be. You think about how we hold our phone right there at the bottom. The red is right where our eye naturally reads, and it's never more than a thumb press away if you like what you're seeing. We'll scroll a bit here to see how some of those elements, very similar, are brought to life in the mobile experience. But this is something that we carefully consider with a separate design, and don't just, again, take that home page and shrink it down as small as we can for a device. I believe on the next tab, the other thing we'll look at on the corporate site is a subpage. And these are very important for us to pay attention to, because a lot of people think of the homepage of the site as what you're going to remember, the design you pay attention to. But with great SEO, with effective pay-per-click advertising, oftentimes it's the subpage that a user is going to come to first. Google wants to show the most relevant page to what the user is searching. So in this case, if they're searching for flood damage, we want them to come straight to this page. We don't want them to go to the home page. So we make similar considerations in a slightly different layout. If you're searching for flood damage, if you know you have it, you may want to read a little more. As we scroll here, you'll see again, there's information for both the customer and for Google. Our team is writing and optimizing content each month based on Google's really constantly changing criteria about what's valuable for organic search. And right there in red as we scroll, we're never far away from a call to action. So the corporate site is built with the homepage, with subpage types, and those elements convey over to the local franchise sites that we're going to spend the rest of our time on the live site. So now we've left the corporate site. We're in Minneapolis, St. Paul. Is anyone from that location here? Perfect. So we're on your specific corner of the Paul Davis site, and you'll see a few things are similar. We're carrying a lot of that branded consistency and architecture through, but we're going to automatically populate in a few places which location we're serving. We're using a separate phone number from the corporate site, so we can do call tracking on a local level. If you need to get help immediately, that call to action is a bit different than find your nearest location. And this is really your platform. This is your website. It feels like the homepage we just left, but most consumers in your area are going to come straight here. They may choose to navigate out to the corporate page, but we want this to be your platform. Start building out content that sounds like only your market. Start to build out geo pages with your SEO partner, like Blue Corona, that build out pages that target the areas that are most important to you. Your high value neighborhoods, your high value zip codes. A similar design in a lot of aspects to the homepage, but it still gives you the flexibility to build and make it your local platform within the Paul Davis branded architecture.
And what's great about this too is that, so if you scroll up all the way to the top, we heard you when everyone said we wanted to localize the page even further, and we have to really, there's a fine line of we want to have consistency and be one brand, but we also want you guys to be able to show your local team. So you can see here, these are very good-looking stock models that are people from LA, but you have your own team. This right here, like upon launch, they'll be, you know, our professional commercial imagery and residential imagery that we did a professional photo shoot for. But on the MSP side, so for you, this site, for you guys, hopefully this is a picture of you and your team. If you don't want to be in it, that's okay. But it can be your team. Obviously, you want to think about like people that might be like coming and going from your team. Might be a team in front of your fleet. It might be a picture of your fleet. But it's still going to be consistent with everybody else because you'll still have those call to actions. The header will still be the same and consistent for everybody. But what will localize it and still make sure that we look like one Paul Davis is that will be your photos or, you know, again, a photo of your team, a photo of your fleet, whatever you guys want to choose there. Some of you guys really like your skyline photos, as we've learned. Absolutely. You can put a skyline photo. You can have your team in front of your skyline if you want. Is there a question?
Yeah, so if we were going to go about those changes, would we work directly with Blue Corona or with corporate to like send those photos and get it changed?
That's a great question. So, you know, these types of content changes can be part of an SEO program if you're doing SEO with a vendor or with Blue Corona. But one of the other things, like we were talking about before, having like this outdated WordPress backend that was really clunky, we're still going to do WordPress because it's an enterprise level CMS. But our theme is going to be Elementor, which is a much easier to use theme. So if you wanted to go in and put in a photo, there'll be some things that we'll like give you best practices on. We're not going to let you upload a very heavy or large file size because that will just clunk your site speed. But we'll give you some best practices, and it will be even easier. We're going to show you the team page here in a second because I know some of you guys have hated updating the team pages. But it's even easier now. It's a plug and play theme, so it's so much easier. And one of the other nice things about this theme is, if you scroll down a little bit, so let's say, you know, James likes, you know, the property restoration experts there. If you keep scrolling, but let's say you really are like, actually, I want my social media bar to even be more prevalent. Right here, by default, we have it just based on user activity. We have it right here. But if you guys, if MSP, you're like, oh, we're doing some more social media initiatives, we're doing some more stuff, I want to have this a little bit more prominent. These are like element blocks that you can go in and just drag and drop it so it goes a little bit higher. Obviously, it's not going to go higher than the ultimate header because we still want the call to actions to be there. But if you want it to say like over, you know, to go before the testimonial, that's up to you. So there's a little bit more customization while still looking brand appropriate that we have built into this, so you guys have more control over your sites.
Absolutely, and I think a great example of that, the last tab we'll have up, Brandon, Emma mentioned the Meet the Team page. Something that for us is something we build all the time. It's a great example of collaboration with the Paul Davis team. We heard and understood it was a big pain point currently at the franchise level, just to update the pictures, show who's going to be coming out to your house, who supports. You can see the way it populates in. It's going to be a gallery on the back end, very easily managed. It's no more complicated than what you see here. It's a photo, it's a name, and then it's a role beneath it. You can move, drag and drop, move people, add them and delete them. The goal is to really give you those on-brand building blocks to start making it your own, both in terms of content and how you bring it to the market. Make it easier for you to update yourself, or with our team, we have a team of dedicated webmasters that work 24 hours a day. If you're not inclined to update it yourself, then you email someone like Andrew, and he'll get it taken care of for you, ideally within 24 business hours. But we have a team of webmasters who can help you. We don't want them to stand in your way of updating your own site, but we also want you to focus on what's going to make the phone ring. We have the staff that can help you with that. We can do what we do best while you guys do what you do best, but we don't want to give the keys to something that's going to be difficult or clunky to update.
And the important thing to note here is for those of you guys, you guys are getting new websites in October. All of that content is moved over, so it's not like you're going to start with a blank team page unless you have a blank team page now. So if you want to know who's going to move over to your new site, this is a great example with MSP. This is reflective of who's on your team on your current website. If you currently have no one, there'll be no one on the current new site. So just keep that in mind that this is a great example of content being moved over. That's why this process is taking us, to launch in October. So we want all of your content to move over with your existing sites.
Quick question. Are we going to be allowed to use chat feature on here? Like some of us used Apex in the past, and it's been
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, it's still the same thing, because that's just, that, especially with Apex, we've already tested that, and that's just an add-on that goes to the site. It layers on top of the site versus it's not like it's a whole integration into the site. It's just a pop-up that goes onto the site,
And
so.
the text feature on the main page, is that going to us or corporate?
So the text feature goes, we have that on there now. It goes to the Brand Experience Center. It obviously now will go to AnswerNet, our new Brand Experience Center. But it's used we don't really get much activity on the text us at all. And we even have it on the current site. So we don't get a lot of traction there. We get mostly just phone calls.
I think that'll change with the mobile app, yeah.
Yeah, I hope so too. I would think so. I think sometimes people want to talk when they're in the midst of an emergency to like get through it, but that feature is there, and we use the call center so we have someone promptly answering versus like texting no one kind of thing.
Yeah, I think from us and us being a model of the property improvement side of the business, we want it to work both sides, right?
Yeah.
So I understand the urgency with that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, our BI clients, I'll push the thing over the rest of the funnel.
Yeah,
So
that would be great.
I would like to see it be able to come to us. I don't know if that's an option or not, but
I mean,
through their call center and they don't know anything about BI or how to answer the questions.
with this, the ability, like for the text function, it can be programmed so it goes to a number in your local office. Just keep in mind that it needs to be, it needs to be a cell phone, right? It has to be S&M enabled, and it needs to be someone that's going to answer it, even if it is a customer that is an emergency.
We have a call center, that's no problem.
Yeah.
Will this have to, we have to change the way we pay? I purchase specific web address.
Oh, so vanity URLs? Great question. No, so your subdomains are still going to be your subdomains. With the way the vanity URLs work is your vanity URL is pointing to your Paul Davis PRI supplied website. And so vanity URLs, your subdomain's not changing. We're not going to a different URL structure. That's really important because you guys, especially if you've been in business long enough, you actually probably have links to your website out in the depths of the internet that you don't even realize. We want to keep all that linkage out there. But in reality, yeah, so if you have your vanity URL pointed correctly, so it's pointing right to the subdomain, then you don't even have to change it because it's still going to point to the subdomain.
And just before we go back to the PowerPoint too, the chat question reminded me of a great example of how we want to build a site for you, support the local options you have like that. It quickly moved us over to the mobile preview here as an example. If you put a chat script on a site and don't do any manual adjusting or coding, if it has a preview feature in the bottom right on mobile, where's that going to sit for us is right on top of the phone number. So even just a small step of reaching out to us and saying, hey, I'd like this on the site, our team can not only incorporate that, but as basic as it sounds, we want to bump that up 10 points so that it sits above your phone number and not on top of it. We want to work with you on those plugins, those options, make sure they incorporate with the basis of the design we have. With an eye on the clock, we'll come back out. Like I said, I think I have about 1.5 slides, so we'll talk a little bit about timeline before Brandon gets us out of here. Perfect. A 300-site project is a pretty big undertaking. This is one of the largest and longest projects that we've worked on. Right now, we're perfectly on track to launch in October 2024. When we say launch, usually we launch our websites in a day. In this case, we've blocked off an entire work week for our team. So our team works literally around the clock on this. 30 different people touch this website on any given week. We have weekly stand-ups with Emma and her team where we bother her about things they didn't even imagine we were going to ask about, placement of commas, naming conventions, everything you have to think about to connect the wires, to even populate the location name correctly across 300 locations. Our team works in sprints. Each month there's a different main focus. That content import for the different locations is brought over in batches. So it is a process. And we will start our launch preparation, our internal QA, which is an industry term for clicking a lot of shit to see if it breaks. We will start that in early September with dozens of people across 300 sites, making sure that it's good to go when it launches. But in the meantime, one thing Brandon's going to elaborate more on before we wrap up is there are current franchises that we're already supporting for their digital marketing efforts before the site launches, and we'd love to speak with you about it.
Thank you, David. Is this mic on? Everyone hear me okay? Awesome. We're going to open it up to questions now. We did have one other quick slide about those digital marketing packages, but I know we're coming up on time and obviously lots of questions about the website. So, okay, perfect. All right. Well, we have worked with Emma and her team to roll out 3 different options, and these can be customized a little bit more too. I mean, we have other services, but really for Paul Davis specific, we worked with Emma and her team to say, what do you all need, and how can we make it affordable for you guys, right? And so 3 different options there, a little bit of SEO. You have the ability to add on Google Ads or paid media management, for your pay-per-click. Monthly reporting included in all of those as well. And then if you do opt for that option number 3, you get a little bit more higher touch account management, a little bit deeper of reporting, and some other things included as well. So if you are interested in learning more about those packages, we're going to be sticking around. We're at our booth as well. So final slide here, if you want, as we open it up to questions, you can scan that QR code. That's going to bring you to a page. It's going to ask you to select your package. You don't have to do that today at all. You can also talk to Jill or, like I said, any of our team here. So, but that QR code will be good for several weeks after the show as well. So really appreciate your time. We hope you really like the new website that David and Emma and the Blue Corona team have been working hard on. And we'll open it up to questions. Anybody have any questions? I know we've kind of asked some along the way. Yes, ma'am.
I know you said we'll have the links for all different social media, right? So will we be able to see on the back end of the metadata where our traffic is coming from? And to that extent, how deep does the geolocation of the IP, like I mean, I know if they're using a VPN or a VPS, it doesn't matter, but most normal people unfortunately don't use those. Will I be able to see, like, oh, they're coming from Horry County, oh, they're coming from Darlington, I'm in South Carolina, I will be. So, like, that's the kind of information I would like to know.
Yeah. So in our analytics, and there was a lot in there, so I'm trying to unpack it all. So you're asking specifically, because you mentioned like images and metadata, right? So so it doesn't matter. Like, yes, is the short answer of it. We can break down local traffic by region, state, things of that nature. I'm not sure, you might actually be able to speak to it, David, a little bit more detailed about like how granular we can actually get with it. But you're asking about cities, counties, like how we can really dial in.
Right.
Yep.
So I want to know where I should put my marketing dollars, right? And I want to know on my social media where I'm getting the most bang for my buck, and what is it mom who's looking? Is it dad who's looking? Is it?
That stuff's always going to be really hard, and that a lot of that is because of data privacy. So so in terms of like, if mom is looking and dad's looking, if anything, we've lost even more of that type of tracking because of data privacy laws, which as consumers, we should be grateful for. As marketers, we're less grateful for. But we'll have, like right now, anything that you can track through Google Analytics, we have set up right now.
Okay.
And all of
you can still get on it through Google.
absolutely,
You're gonna
100%.
get gender, age, all of that.
And all of your Google Analytics scripts also get migrated with the sites too. So it's not like you're going to be like, oh, here's brand new Google Analytics.
Okay.
You'll still have, like essentially that UA code just gets transferred right over.
Okay.
And of course, with the marketing that we're doing for any client, we're targeting very specific service areas, right? And so I kind of had shown a full list of some of the things we track earlier, right? We also can look at, hey, for specific URLs targeting a certain county or service area, how much traffic you're driving, right? How many clicks you're getting, what those costs are like. So yeah, we might not be able to say mom or dad is searching, but we can know, which geographic area is moving the needle and which ones aren't.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
I'm just going to throw a punch in. So I have been blessed to deal with those guys for 2 months so far, and I got to tell you, what a great experience. And if you haven't talked to them, definitely take the time. Don't take this lightly. I've been with Paul Davis 3 years, and I've been begging for this opportunity. The experience we've been given through our current person is not good, as Emma said, and what they're bringing to the table, and it's just amazing to have someone that speaks my language, to understand true marketing, lead generation, call center, measuring data, and it's all been within 2 months. It started with Jill, then the handoff to the best rep ever, my guy over there in the corner being quiet. Make him speak or something. He is a good speaker too, Brent. But I just can't say enough what a great experience has been in the first 60 days. I am stoked to get started, and you can get started today as well. You don't have to wait till October. I think in the beginning, everybody thought we were going to have to wait, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's another whole year. I can't do it. And so I've started. We've already started rolling stuff over, and I am pumped.
Yeah, I think we're working with like 20 brands right now, or 20 locations-ish.
I'm looking to double the business quickly, so I'm super excited. So any questions I can answer about my experience, I'm happy to do it.
Well, we appreciate that. And
I think
he's not paid. He's not on our payroll, I promise you.
I was going to ask how much it was. You got to double whatever.
Whatever the cost of a Gaylord beer is. All right. Yes, sir.
So can we go back a slide to the digital marketing? I guess this is what impacts us the most, right? So website does look great, we're used to, at least not in my office, we're used to working with Online Image. We pay them a monthly fee, we have a monthly meeting with them, they're doing SEO, they're doing pay-per-click. So where is that option 3? Is that a similar service? You guys offer a similar service to that?
Yeah, so the monthly meeting would be in option 3, but like I said, these are packages that we've worked with Emma and her team to try to bring to Paul Davis at scale. We can customize what a package and like what your need looks like. Obviously, we pulled up all of our services. So the monthly meeting would be included. In number 3, you're always going to get access to that reporting system. We shared with you that you can log in at any time. Of course, if you call us or email us, we're not going to ignore you just because there wasn't a little checkbox that said no monthly meeting, right? We're always there for you. And of course, if you at any point you ever need any sort of help, our account managers, like David said, 24-hour response time. But we're always there. We text with our clients, email, jump on calls multiple times per week. So.
Would you be managing the pay-per-click?
That would be optional. That's down here. Yep. So we have that ability, not included in these prices, but that is an add-on. And as you can see there, 15% management fee. So whatever whatever your budget is, 15% of that is.
And that's what Online Images is currently too. They do 15% on top of like whatever your spend is. Yep. Yep.
Any other questions before we let you guys get on out of here? Yes, sir.
This may be the wrong class to ask. Is there any way we can put like an application for ERC or online as well through the website?
I mean, it depends on what you want to do, but you can absolutely build out ERC content on the sites for sure. It's a separate app, is a different conversation. But what is cool about partnering with Blue Corona is, and one of the things we search for is somebody that they do everything on the digital front. So apps and things like that are, I'm sure, things that we could talk about. But if you're just talking about like the ERC experience, what you could do right off the bat with your new website, building content around the ERC, you know, anything to make their lives easier, whether it's for them or for the consumer or whatever it might be, you can build content on the site itself around that.
I think we're getting kicked out. So I want to say thank you to everyone who joined us for the past 45 minutes. Looking forward to meeting you.